Hello, everyone. Here's your weather hazard briefing for Monday, January 3rd. A lot of folks headed back to work or school after the holiday, and we're looking for some changes. Rain, snow, wind, and warm temperatures returning. We've had the snow and the wind previously, but with the warmer temperatures, that's a bit different than the past couple of storms coming through. As a matter of fact, that's going to help create, especially tomorrow, a little bit tomorrow, but mainly Wednesday onward for some rain and snow in the lower elevations. This is one of these events that's going to pretty much last all week, off and on, not a full-blown raining or snowing every moment of the day. Our first big push is this evening through tomorrow morning, then tomorrow night into Wednesday, then Wednesday night into Thursday, and then the last round is taking its time. That last wave is coming through Friday and Saturday. We've got a lot of drier powdery snow on the ground, and that means with the winds kicking up, there's going to be a risk of blowing and drifting snow daily. That's from current snowpack or new snow that is falling, especially once we get into the first wave and beyond for tonight. That's where it stays colder, where it's going to be warmer. Some of that snow will melt, or it'll try to crust over a little bit where it gets a little wet and kind of freezes a little bit. That may mitigate some of that blowing and drifting snow in the lower elevations. But with that, we'll have to definitely take that day by day. Here we go for our weather risk outlook, and you can see that many areas we've got low wind chills this morning. Some of them are pretty chilly, but nothing widespread like the last couple of mornings. The winds will be kicking up. There's the light snow moving into very, very light snow into the eastern highlands, but most of the snow will be moving into the central mountains this evening, then spreading eastward overnight into tomorrow morning. The biggest and most impacts will be in the higher elevations of the central mountains for now. We're going to have to watch and see how strong the winds get and how that blowing and drifting snow, that interaction goes for the rest of the area. But for right now, the higher impacts will be in the Sawtooth, basically because we have so much snow falling with that wind coming through. Going into Wednesday, as we start to warm up, we start to see some impacts lessening. There will still be impacts in places like the Snake Plain, the Magic Valley, the Lost River Valley, but a lot of these areas will still see the higher impacts, especially where we can keep the snow and the blowing snow going. That trend continues into Thursday and into Friday as well. The winds will be breezy, but not as strong as they will be starting later today through about midweek. But still, blowing and drifting snow will be a concern. Let's go ahead and take a look at how the forecast is going to progress over the next several hours. By late or mid to late afternoon, we're going to watch that snow moving into the central mountains. As we go through time, we go through this evening, snow developing over the central mountains, some of that trying to pop up mainly in the eastern highlands, but most of that will hold off until very late this evening. So we go through time. We're right around, we get to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, that band starts shifting across the Snake Plain. What will be interesting is out ahead of this band, very strong southerly winds, so it may take a while for precipitation to actually fall as heavier snow and accumulating from like Burley to Pocatello between Blackfoot and Idaho Falls, and also some of the adjacent valleys here along the benches. And that may not happen until that main band pushes through and those winds switch to a more westerly direction. They're still going to be pretty strong as we go into the morning hours. And you can see as we go through tomorrow morning, this band mainly shifts south of the Snake Plain into the South Hills, the Albion Mountains, and the Southeast Highlands, and it kind of lingers there. We do have a couple of other bands of snow moving through. And one thing to watch when this band moves into southeast Idaho through the night, we may have something similar to what we had with a couple of weeks, within the last week or so. We have those very intense bands of snow that have very strong winds with them, very low visibility. Something to watch if you're going to be up traveling early in the morning. As we go into tomorrow afternoon, we'll see the next push of snow moving into the central mountains. That might be a little quick. We may see a little bit more of a break tomorrow afternoon. It may not be until later tomorrow evening and into Wednesday morning when we see the next big push. And that push may be the one that produces most of the precipitation throughout this whole entire multi-day event. There's a satellite loop showing that moisture moving in across Washington and Oregon. We do have some higher and mid-level clouds moving through the area this morning. Now, for this afternoon, not much going on, but you'll see those winds starting to pick up over the central mountains. Some of those gusts in the higher elevations well over 30 miles per hour. We got the strong south winds along the benches, along the interstate corridor from Twin up through Idaho Falls as well. Some of those gusts 25 to 35 miles per hour. For temperatures today, most of us will still be below freezing, but it's going to be warmer than we've seen the past couple of days for sure. Just above freezing in places like Twin, Swan Valley, and up at Chalice as well. Now into this evening, there's the snow spreading through, the winds continuing. They'll be picking up just a bit ahead of that band across the south and eastern highlands, the bench areas for this afternoon, later into this evening, into the early overnight hours. Still some pretty strong wind gusts over the central mountains, and you can see the Sawtooth, some of the surrounding mountains seeing about 2 to 4 inches of snow, a little bit higher across the crest of the Sawtooth for this evening. For tonight, that band shifts, and as that band shifts, those winds start to pick up. 35, 40-mile-an-hour gusts, if not higher, across the Snake Plain into portions of the southern and eastern highlands, also up around Monida Pass, up towards Targhee and Reynolds Passes. We'll see the wind still gusty, but letting up a bit over the central mountains. That doesn't necessarily mean the snowing and blowing and drifting snow in that area is over. You can still see the bulk of the snow falling in the Sawtooths, the boulders, the white clouds, those areas. Not much going on across the Snake Plain. The concern, even if we don't get a lot of snow, with it still being cold, blowing and drifting of what is on the ground right now may be a bigger impact outside of the central mountains and the southern and eastern highlands with this first round. But you see a little better chance of snow once you get into the Magic Valley for tonight. Overnight lows, we're going to see them cooling off outside of the interstate corridor. Those strong winds keeping temperatures elevated in the 20s to near 30 degrees. Elsewhere, single digits and teens for overnight lows. And for tomorrow morning, there are those winds continuing, the snow band shifting into the southern and eastern highlands. And even with the snow winding down, blowing and drifting snow will be an issue. Now, we get later into the afternoon, temperatures start to warm up quite a bit, but you can see we'll start to see the snow becoming more showery, except across the southern and southeast highlands. The winds do wind down, but still remain pretty gusty. Places like American Falls, INL, down into the southeastern highlands. For tomorrow afternoon, you can see those warmer temperatures. Burley above freezing, Pocatello above freezing, Oakley above freezing. Many areas still, though, in the 20s to low 30s. In the higher elevations, the single digits and teens will remain for Tuesday. Tuesday night, winds are gusty out there, so blowing and drifting where we keep colder temperatures. Here comes the next round of snow, again focusing on the Sawtooth, the surrounding mountains, over towards Fairfield and the Soldiers, also across portions of the Big Holes, the Island Park area, into the Tetons as well. And into Wednesday morning, we'll see those temperatures, because it's breezy, because we have warm air continuing to push in. Idaho Falls will barely make it below freezing, but a good chunk of the Snake Plain, the Magic Valley, and those adjacent bench areas will be above freezing once again. And there are those strong winds south of the across the southern and eastern highlands, across the Snake Plain. We actually are going to see a convergence event shifting towards American Falls and Pocatello and Craters Wednesday evening, Wednesday night. That's not necessarily shown here. That's not a given, but it's looking more and more likely. But south of that convergence band, some very strong winds. You'll notice we don't have a lot of snow across portions of the lower Snake Plain, Magic Valley, back down towards Oakley. It's just going to be too warm for snow to accumulate. But by Wednesday, the main focus for snow will shift into the southern and eastern highlands, and there are those high temperatures. Burley will be above 40, Oakley above 40, Twin above 40. Many areas pushing at or above freezing, with 20s and 30s in the mountains. Thursday morning will still be pretty warm. Thursday afternoon will be very warm as well. You can see temperatures creeping up in a few spots on Thursday. And Friday, similar trend as well, bumping up a degree or two across the board. Now, looking at the snow that's coming in waves Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, Not trying to get too specific with amounts, but just kind of give you an idea of where some of the snow accumulations will fall during that 72-hour period. Many areas will definitely see a good shot of seeing an inch or more of snow, but you'll see those shadowed areas like Chalice, Arco, Mackey, the INL area, even portions of the Snake Plain. Probability of seeing an inch or more, not all that high, but it still looks like it could happen in several areas. We switch to 4 inches or more of snow during that period. We wipe out a lot of snow across the lower elevations. You can see where we're focusing with this pattern, that northwest flow, the Sawtooth and the surrounding mountains, the higher elevations of the South Hills, the Southeast Highlands, the Eastern Highlands. Many of those areas, once you get off the valley floor, are looking at still 4 inches or more of snow. Going to 8 inches, we continue to pare that back into the middle and upper elevations, but some folks still seeing a pretty good chance of that much accumulation Thursday through Saturday. And as we go to 12 inches or more, we continue to pare that down a little bit. Even some areas, the Tetons, some portions of the Sawtooth may see 24 inches or more. And what's not shown here, there is a very small, it's the non-zero chance these areas here, the Tetons and also the Sawtooth, could see over 3 feet of snow with this event. So like I said, we've got multiple days of snow and wind coming, and eventually the lower elevations will be warming up to get some rain and snow both, especially Wednesday onward. A few areas for tomorrow, and that risk of blowing and drifting snow does remain in the forecast, especially where temperatures remain cold over the next few days. Have a great day. Pay attention to the forecast. Pay attention to road conditions. Visit our partners at 511 if you're going to be traveling over the next few days, and have a great day out there.